Here come the boys. Y'all ready to go swimming, baby? Come on. Give it up. Get out of that water. I tried telling y'all, it's swim lessons, baby.
You guys are in for a treat today. My guest is Doug Delorme, the announcer at the great and powerful Chippewa Downs, located in Belcourt, North Dakota. It's the racetrack that my family, along with a lot of other families, go to every weekend in June to race the ponies. It's a fantastic place. I highly suggest it. Again, that's every weekend in June. Check them out online. They also do their races via the Facebook page. That's Chippewa Downs, Chippewa Downs. And also, they got the casino, Skydancer, right next to, it's about 2.5 miles away from the racetrack. But make sure you check out Chippewa Downs. Doug and I love talking to this guy. He gave me my first opportunity, himself and Chippewa Downs, at the horse racing call, which is a passion of mine. It's become, and I like talking to Doug because we got into some horse stories and also just some fun stories that he's encountered in his life. He's a fun guy, and he's a good hang, basically, and appreciate Doug's time. I also appreciate our sponsors today. How about this place in Williston, North Dakota? If you're hungry and you need a full belly, head to River's Edge Bar and Grill. They're known for offering the best happy hour in town, providing unbeatable deals in a lively atmosphere right there in the heart of the Bakken. Guests can also enjoy a variety of entertaining activities, including bingo, trivia, and the very popular Name That Tune. Come on down to River's Edge for great drinks, great food, and great fun. And how about our next sponsor, Glosso Angus, a proud sponsor of Swim Lessons, the podcast. They are your premier source for registered black Angus cattle since 1973. Glosso Angus cattle showcase dominance, durability, and docility, and they're built to thrive on the northern plains. Check them out. That's Glosso, Glasoe, Angus.com. And also PSP Network. It's in the game. They've been promoting local student athletes for a very long time. Right now, they're in the heart of golf season, so make sure to check out their weekly golf show, and where you can find that, it's on their YouTube page at PSP Network. Also, their schedule of events for this fall is coming up. Football's right around the corner, folks. So check out that schedule when it does come out at psp.network. Looking forward to calling some games for them, both football and basketball, this upcoming winter for the great and the powerful PSP Network. Also, if you're sitting there and you're thinking, how can I get on board with some of these sponsors and what some of these big activities Dallas has planned with Swim Lessons? Well, let me tell you, we're going on a fall football tour, and it's going to be phenomenal. We're going to go to Minneapolis, Green Bay, Chicago, and Kansas City, and we're going to stop in each place and talk to some great people and catch some training camps for the NFL. And also, we're going to talk to some local high school coaches, athletes for this fall football tour. More details to come. But if you're interested in becoming a sponsor for that, please reach out to me on any of my social medias or the Swim Lessons Instagram or DallasHanson@gmail.com. That's enough of that. Let's talk to the man, the myth, the legend. That is Doug Delorme. Dude, thanks for doing this, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem there, Dallas. Yeah, I thought I would come out and just we talked about this, and just thought maybe I'd mention a few things, how I got started, how everything kind of came about, and, how I got into the horse racing game, and, announcing and doing my auctioneering and things like that. And it's been really a really good adventure. I really enjoy, meet a lot of people. With this type of work comes a lot of socializing, a lot of public relations skills, and when I did go to Billings Livestock Auction School, I learned a lot there, how to correlate, how noise travels, sound travels, vocal cords, all them things, they come into play, it's just about, like we discussed, it's about creating a rhythm in what you're doing and kind of trying to find the best, to where you're not overrunning things, but you're trying to make sure you got the best, I'll say sound and output, and at the same time feedback. Everything's correlating because it's all about communication. Whether it's announcing, auctioneering, you're communicating with the audience, and you always got to be in tune with them. You got to be able to read that and notice the different protocol that comes in with that. So it's about detecting it, I guess.
Well, listen, man, I don't think I've ever done a podcast with a guy whose job I wanted so bad. Like your job.
yeah.
Like your job. Like
yeah.
I mean that in a non-harmful way.
Oh yeah.
Like I greatly like, so everybody listening, like Doug would go and you would go and do the Indian relays a weekend. And then I would come in and kind of be your substitute, like a backup quarterback, if you will. And I really fell in love with it. But I have to give kudos to you too, because you told me before when we met up the night before you left, and you're like, just be yourself. And like you said, just stay electric and calm down. He goes, because 9 times out of 10, you know, 2 years from now, nobody's going to remember if you screwed up, you know, like it'd be a goldfish, a short-term memory. But man, where we're sitting today is a special place to you. It's a special place to me. Chippewa Downs, man. I love, and Skydancer Casino is 2.5 miles away, real close. And you just come up here to the hill, and what you guys have created here at Chippewa Downs for many years has been phenomenal. And it's so great to see every weekend in June, there will be horse racing in the middle of North Dakota at a place called Chippewa Downs.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, is it's kind of like boxing would be to Las Vegas. You know, it's the capital. This is the capital of horse racing in North Dakota is Chippewa Downs. I remember back in the day, talking 45, 50 years ago, there was 5-6 tracks in the local area, and that was the social events, was going out and, seeing who had the best horse, and, that's how Pete got involved. His dad was involved. You take like my cousin Malvin, Steve Kaplan, and all of them guys. It's a passion, but they grow up because the parents, were doing it, and the grandparents were doing it. So and how I got involved in it is, I grew up at Centerside up here, the old project up here, and the first one that was built. And then I moved up here when I was 7 years old. So I ended up taking and just come up here, just browse around to see what was going on, and how I got into it was Pete Davis. He was waiting for a rider one day. He was on the hill. He had this van. It was pretty sharp back then. He had an owl on it. It was really nice. This was Pete was probably like 32, 33 years old. And here, maybe a little younger than that. I don't quite know how old he is. I think he's about 73, 72. But anyway, he said, would you want to ride this horse? And I said, I thought, pony, just like any other horse, hold him back, Well, I never knew the concept of racing, a horse, because I was just like, I'll try it. So I jump on and, I'm bareback and, and I'm thinking, this, you'll be okay. So I'm just starting out, and, the harder I pulled, the faster the horse went. So I actually went like 4 times around, and he's like, don't jump off. So I was like, okay. Well, I'm hollering. And so I'm just going until the horse, actually stops, But the horse's name was Alistair's Choice, one of his when he first got started too, he's one of his better, mares, fillies, he developed his breed program, I think, basically off of her, So here,
awesome.
So I ended up getting involved, and then we had guys like Rusty was real young. He used to ride, Rusty Wilson, so I met him. Steve Kaplan Sr. He was one of the guys I met that Blaine used to ride. So I met a lot of these guys, growing up, and here. We'd race against each other, and Johnny Gillis and all of them, Dave and Dean, and they'd always be up here because Dave was a rider. And here we would just, they'd pick out of a hat, and, you didn't get to pick your horse. You know what I mean? They put a few bucks in the pot, and that's how they did it. Yeah.
Bareback?
Yeah. Well, no, then I was getting in the saddle then. Okay. Yeah. I was already, I already got the fever of it, and it's kind of something I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And then, I rode for a couple of years, and when I was 15, and part of 17, I got too big. I just got 6'1" now, but
hey, you're a big guy, man.
But I ended up taking, and I started galloping horses. Then I worked on the gate crew for about 30 some odd years. I just
what was that like, dude? That's a wild place, the gates.
Yeah, the gates is it's just what to me how I've always I was connected with the horse, you know, the energy of the horse. So the calmer you stay, he'll stay, because his confidence is in you. He's in this little chute, and you know, if you're nervous, he's going to be nervous. So I always try to keep a concept of staying relaxed, petting him, talking to him, you know, set him up right, you know, make sure they're comfortable. And some of these horses, you could set them up the way they want. It's the way they relax, because they know how to suppress the issue, you know, in there. So some of them might lean a little bit. You try to set them up, you might cause a wreck. You set them up first, get up in the pontoon, and whatever happens, you know, if the horse moves a little bit, well, he's setting up. You know, if you start to jerk him around, you're going to offset him, because that's the way he wants to move. He wants to take off. Some of them will relax, that because they understand themselves too, to a certain degree, because they might get a little claustrophobic, you know, and they know how to work past that too.
Well, the gates are so big here because, I mean, Chippewa Downs does thoroughbred races, but quarter horse races are huge here, and that's 350 yards. So you got to have a good start. Yeah. So if you don't, you're done. Your whole setup
for the start is actually making sure that they're square. You know, their nose is in the V, and some might step back. Some of them like to come off the back end of the gate. So they got their own way how they want to do it too. And, you know, so the first thing you do is just walk in, set them up, and get up on the pontoon, you know, make sure they're in there. And then if they move a slight, just let them be.
Yeah.
Because they're setting themselves up. You know, these horses are smart. They're very intelligent. They're trained to run, you know, so they catch on pretty quick.
Hey folks, are you craving authentic, mouth-watering smoked meats? Well, let me tell you where to go. It's Bronson Smokehouse in Beulah, North Dakota. They've been serving up legendary country-style sausage, jerky, and Slim Jims for over 40 years. Order online today at bronsonsmokehouse.com. That's Bronson's, Bronsons, smokehouse.com, and taste the tradition. So you worked at the track, kind of some different jobs, like you're saying, you build up, and then you get the chance to call some races. What was that feeling like when you got that opportunity?
Actually, Bubby gave me the first opportunity. It was about probably 10 years ago, I would say, maybe 11 years ago. And right in there. And he's like, because his boy rides, you know, and he was like, well, I'm going to be gone this weekend. And they asked, well, who could fill in? And I went to auction school in 2011. So, you know, I was, you know, just kind of, you got to wait my turn, you know. And so I was just like, well, I could fill in. So I filled in, and here, he kind of showed me what to do, and you know, and he said like, well, okay, just relax and just know your colors and different things like that and correlations, and I was like, okay. So I filled in for him for about maybe 4 or 5 years, and then all of a sudden the job came open. You know, he moved on to Fargo because he's got a lot of things going on.
Yeah,
Bobby, he's got his boy that races all over the country. Nathan,
who's a great rider. Nathan's phenomenal.
Phenomenal rider, and he, you know, his daughter trains horses, his son trains horses. So he had a lot of coals in the fire, you know. I mean, he's just really busy. So it was kind of, you know, I think he just figured, well, it's hard to commit, you know, to 4 weekends when he's got all that stuff going on. So then I end up taking over, and you know, he's into the racing game, and he's still announcing in Fargo right now. And you know, so Bubby's kind of been you know, somebody that I've kind of looked up to, you know, in that announcing, and he knows how to bring excitement to the game, and
got a very unique voice.
Yes, very unique. Yes,
and that's nothing against him. It's just like one that's not, you know, not normal, but it's all good.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Everybody's got their own style, and you know, everybody's got their own, you know, their protocol. You know, some of the guys might reference to, you know, like, they're coming down the stretch, and you got Ali and Frazier going head to head, toe to toe. You know what I mean? They might use reference like that, or they might say, hey, you know what? You got to go battling back and forth, you know, and as they're going nose to nose. And, you know what I mean? Everybody's got their own little, you know, their terminology, I'll say, you know, to stimulate the crowd and keep them in tune with you. Because the whole thing is making sure that they understand what you're saying, you know, and being in tune with, you know, with the stewards, because there's decisions that have to be made with them. So like you'll notice I never call a race official. I won't call a race official because, you know, they gotta
look at the tape.
They gotta look at the tape. And even though I might see it like, it's nothing, but you know, it's all good race. Well, I don't know. Something might have happened earlier. You know what I mean? So I don't ever, I just do what they tell me to do, and it's always kind of been like that. And I interact with them, and if they got to scratch a horse or whatever, he comes over the radio. I'm always listening, paying attention, to any changes, because there's sudden change. Rider might get hurt, might jump off a horse might flip, there's so many things that happen, that you got to weigh in. And I think it really helps me because I've been in all aspects of it. I've been, I rode, I worked on the gate crew, I galloped, so I could correlate, and put myself in, like the old saying is, it's hard to teach somebody how to box if you haven't boxed before.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you could read from the manual, but if you experience it, good things, bad things, well, you could correlate. And I always try to put myself in that position. And then you mentioned the gates, they're getting back to that. Them guys there, they're very good. We got the best gate crew probably in the country.
Yeah.
I far and on. These guys, I watch them, and these are horsemen. These guys that handle these horses, they don't even talk. If you watch them, they're not even talking. They just watch each other. They already know what they got to do. If they got to pack a horse, whatever happened, they're creating momentum to keep everything moving so that this race could be ran as quick as possible. Because when post time comes, you don't want, be held up for 2-3 minutes, because it puts a lot of stress on the other horses too, So,
right.
It's very important to be able to understand and read these horses. And you're like I said, everybody here that I notice, the majority of them that are still in the game, it's been a passion. They started when they were young. That's how I met most of them, and some of them got into the later years, and I think, they've seen probably some of the purse monies, and purses are good, don't get me wrong, but it's more of a passion. And as well as I know your parents, I've known them since I was yay high to a grasshopper, and they've been doing this. Your dad's been a shoer, your mom's been always helping, training. So, it's a hobby. It's something that, it ain't like you're making a lot of money doing it. You know what I mean? So I owned horses too for a while and trained and got out of it, because I just kind of, it was kind of hard for me to announce and do both,
Right.
So, because nobody's going to really get your horse ready the way you do, you know what I mean? For me anyway, that's how I always felt, because I'm really,
Or you're the coach of the team.
Yeah.
You can't let somebody else coach the team. You want to coach the team.
Exactly. And that was the thing is I just like, well, I'm thinking, well, did he put the bridle on right? Did you did it, they put the undergirt on right? Or is it too tight? You know what I mean? I'm always, and I'm sure you've been in them positions.
Who legged up the jockey?
Yeah. You're thinking about all that stuff, and you're just like I watched you yesterday, you did a little video there at, quarter horse race with, with honeymoon or someone's cause
Hobo Moon.
Hobo Moon, yeah. Hobo Moon.
Yep.
And you're just like, I couldn't stop laughing. I was like, Dallas, you really.
We usually don't run quarter horses, so it was different.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
It is. The excitement is just adrenaline rush, and basically that's all I ever ran was quarter horses, and it's kind of like, how would I say this? Either you got speed or you don't.
Right.
Right. So you don't have to figure it out. I mean, you got to then turn it this side. But the nice thing about a quarter horse too is you could always turn around. They take a lot more pressure. The bone density is a little stronger, and they're you could overturn them to a roper or barrel horse. And some of the guys that done that, I mean, Joe Peltier.
Yeah.
He had this horse that they used it for
It's like a saddle horse.
Well, they use it for steer wrestling.
Oh, wow.
Or, it'd be steer wrestling. And the horse became world champion 2 or 3 years.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to do with Hobo is he's going to be a man that came out with us. So we're going to do with Hobo, but he's going to be a saddle horse type ranch horse. But right now, I mean, he's 4 or 5 years old and he can still run. I mean, he got third yesterday. That ain't bad.
Yeah. Competition's tough here.
Yeah, man.
It ain't no joke. I mean, you come to Turtle Mountains, you're going to come to the Chippewa Downs.
You better come.
You better come because you better be ready because these guys are good trainers. They know, they know what they got to do to win. They're gonna give you everything. You know what I mean? They're gonna try hard. It ain't like the old days. You're just gonna saddle up and okay, we'll see what happens. These horses, some of these guys are paying $6,000, $8,000, $10,000, $15,000 for some of these horses. I mean, the bloodlines are
phenomenal. I mean, they're great. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was like my favorite when you and I were talking and I did the day for you. That was like my favorite part was breaking down the program for people listening. Like, okay, this is what you got to look at. Cause so many of my friends are like, who do you like in this race? I'm like, okay, you got to look at the race, you know, and it helps too to go down to the paddock, see what you think. Yeah. And then you look at the program, you break it down race by race. Okay, this horse was running for 10,000. Now they're running for 5,000. Yes. So that's a drop in class. That's big. Who's riding? Oh, Nathan Haar's riding? Yes. Oh man, this is great. Yeah. And last time he got third, but it was an upper class. Oh, this might be the pick. Yeah. And that's like my favorite part, you know, is and that's so much fun. And the more people know about that and how to read a program, look at a book and know a little bit, because so many people come in blind and that's fine too if you want to do that. Okay, this horse took a dump in the paddock, it might win now. You know, just simple stuff like that. And that's okay too.
Well, and there's so much to handicap, you know, and that's the thing is I try to do some protocol with them, you know, after, you know, now somebody come through and then I still got about 6-7 minutes. So then I'll handicap with them again. I'll go through and you know, let him know if this horse happened to win before, or when his last out, how he did, you know, and there's so many factors because, you know, it's some of these horses might show in the program that, you know, they won 200,000, but they did run in a bull ring. You know what I mean? You know, it's all these things are, you know, fast track, slow track. You know, some of them could be a little bit off, a little bit, maybe still healing from an injury or whatever. You know, there's so many factors, and it's like anything else. You know, you get some control though. Put it this way: it's better than a slot machine because slot machine.
There you don't know.
You have no idea what.
No studying. Yeah,
no studying there. Just pure luck. So, you know, it's you got some control, and some of these guys, you know, they do it for a living. Yeah, you know, that's what they do on the tracks, and they go around from barn to barn, see who's on fire right now. You know, as a trainer or jockey, or you know, and you got to look at all of that stuff. I mean, it's just,
it's a pivotal part.
It's just, you know, and these horses, like I said, they have minds, they got feelings, they got emotions, you know, they might be a little tired, you know, and some of them might need a break, you know. And I always kind of look at that, you know, when, you know, people pick up a horse, you know, all of a sudden you'll see them dropping back, and, you know, you can learn so much from the movie, even Seabiscuit, you know, because the guy gives the horse a break, lets it heal, you know, because just the stress of that environment, because you're taking them out of their natural state. You know, they're in a barn, they're trained, or, you know, where you put them, let them be a horse again, let them get their spirit back. Yeah. You know, and that's, to me, that's key, you know, is to, you know,
give them their soul back.
Yeah. Exactly.
Give them a little time off.
That's exactly. And I want to mention too, like when you fill in for me, you do an excellent job.
Well, thank you, brother.
I got reference from Carol.
Shout out Carol for doing that.
Yeah. And she, I said, boy, I'm looking for somebody, because I was doing some eating, still doing them, you know, but here, I was like, wow, who could I get? I was like, you know, because not everybody likes these type of jobs, you know, because some people are antisocial. Some people, you know what I mean, can't even get 2 words out of them, you know? So yeah, I was like, and she was like, well, Doug, she said, how about Dan Hansen's boy? Dallas? I said, you got his number? Then, you know, and perfect, just great. You do an excellent job.
Well, it changed my life, man.
Yeah, you do an excellent job, and you know, you do just exceptional, perfect. You know, and you have a concept of racing, so you grew up around it. So that program, you know how to read that, you know how to bring that out, you know how to connect with the people, you know, the energy. I mean, it's just like I couldn't have found a better fill-in. You know, I mean, you do a great job, and you know, for me, I'm eventually, you know, I'm looking at venturing out, and you know, someday, you know, I'll pass the baton on to you. Yeah, but when I do go out, I have you always fill in for me, and you do a great job. And I like the fact that you have a passion for it, and it's something you love to do. It's a lot different when you're doing something that you have a passion and you love to do, and then it's not work. You know, it's just you don't even realize you're getting paid for it. You know, and that's, you know, it's good to be in that mindset, and
well, this is a special place, man. I mean, this is a place I've been coming to since I was 3 years old.
Yes.
And I grew up with Steve Keplin, Keplin Senior's son, and we always called him Baby Steve, and just Bubs, who was always around, and like I grew up with those guys every summer. The Slaters. Like I looked forward to coming to Belcourt to see my friends.
Yes.
And then now to see Steve Keplin's going to Winnipeg. He's the current leading trader at Chippewa Downs, and he's evolving, and seeing how we've all evolved, and some of us still are here, some of us aren't, which is fine. But I mean, I this is a very historic place to me, and every year my soul gets reignited because I come in and I see, oh man, they added this part to the track. Oh, they painted the grandstand. Oh, they now they got this new sound system. Oh, this is great. And then, holy crap, look at the jockey colony this year. I mean, this is phenomenal.
Yes.
Dakota Woods balling out right now. Nathan Haar, they got Connie, a female rider who does a great job. And you just have so many and that's what makes me proud of Chippewa Downs, is because it's easy for management to say what we've been doing is working. But every year they continue, how can we make it better? How can we make it better? And I hope that never stops, because that's when things get stagnant and it'll go away. But it's just it's a sacred place, man. This is where it's at. And I love, no offense to Fargo, by the way. I love, Fargo, they do a good job too. Nothing against them, but man, there's just something I truly, I think it's because I grew up here.
Well, and the support too from our governing body is they're very supportive.
Yeah.
In fact, I had met with Craig Lundy about a year and a half or 2 years ago, and actually they were, he's mentioned, he showed me some schematics, what he's actually looking at wanting to do, and eventually we're talking about just according to the schematics of the layout. I got to see it. He's thinking about adding on to track around by the casino in that area.
Ooh.
I mean, I don't know for sure, when that'll happen, but there's always is an adventure mindset to always make things better. And that's the one thing about our community. We're very venturous, prosperity mindset. You'll find probably just as many entrepreneurs here as you will in Bismarck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a lot of people you have self businesses, Cole, Steve, myself, a lot of us are, LLC, so I mean, we're always, trying to, just not depend on a system, but try to venture out and follow our passions and make things bigger and better if we could. And that's one of the things that you noticed, which is a great thing, because our community is about that.
Yeah.
We're about making things better, bigger. I know, we got this building back here now, this nice the arena. The arena barn, and it's really been very, very helpful to the horsemen. They got an equicizer and all that good stuff. It's
a hell of a building.
I had a walker in there. Just really. So the guys really got to work with the horses over the winter months, and big shout out to John Keplin for that. He's always been a part of rodeoing, and the council supporting him, and it's like I used to go ride his bucking. He had a bucking barrel, so him and we were right next to each other. We grew up next to each other. So like John is really, really, really a good friend, like family to me. And we were always over there, messing with the horses. And then he had a roping arena in the back. When his dad was living, he had a roping arena. So his that's his passion. And his kids are all into it. And it's a good thing, that we have this, and we're just going to try to add on to it now. And they got ideas that they're coming up with the governing body, along with the order board. We have a very, very, very good order board too, and they're all horsemen, they understand, what, in fact, like Terry Willett, he's one of the guys, Parker Willett, he's part ownership in that business up there in Winnipeg.
Yeah.
And, so he, it's been his life too, being around family, and, and it just picked it up and got the passion. And it's kind of like, once you get that first win, you get in that winner's circle, it is just,
hooked.
You're hooked.
You're hooked.
Yeah. It's an addiction, but, it's an addiction where you got some control though too, because basically, you got to connect with that horse, get him ready, make sure everything rolls good, and, just, making sure that, you try to get the right rider, you put the right conditions into the horse, don't
overtrain,
try to put him in an allowance whenever he's a non-2, you know, run your conditions, you know, there's a lot of things that weigh in, you know, like I always call the racing office the stock market exchange, you know. I call it the stock market exchange because the thing about it, I remember one time, and these guys are always thinking, man, they're professionals, you know, when they get in that race office, they're sitting there thinking, okay, now they got 5, we got enough to run a horse. Okay, certified North Dakota, okay, we got 1 gelding. Oh, there's 5 mares. You know what? That gelding's going to probably win. But you know what? We'll switch it to fillies and mares. You come back to the office and you're like, okay, where's my horse? Oh, your horse you're not in. Oh, what happened? They switched it to fillies and mares. What? You know what I mean? You got to pay attention.
You got to be there.
And you know what I mean? Like, because they're always making races, you know, so it's fun. But at the same time, you know, you're like, I don't mean this in a bad way, but you can get the rug pulled underneath you, you know, because, you know, it just, and these guys will move over here. Okay, you got 4 over here. Okay, you got, you know what I mean? Because if you got horses to work with, you know, you got 16, 17 horses, you could kind of work that around a little bit from time to time, you know. But, you know, and this year we got some really good riders, you know, exceptional.
Really good.
And
remember Herman Fennell?
Oh, Herman's my buddy, man.
Herman Fennell was here forever. He was riding when he was like 80 years old, it seemed like.
Yeah.
Well, how honestly old was he? 70?
Herman, I think he was riding up until he was like, I think, close to 70.
Holy, riding competitive races.
Yeah.
You could always tell what horse Herman was riding because he was like, everybody listening, jockeys have to kind of sit low with the horse and push him. And Herman's legs were old.
Yeah.
So he had to like stand up.
Yeah.
And I loved watching him ride. He was a great guy. But
yeah, he was one of our legends in the community. I mean, everybody loved Herman. I mean, just a great guy. And, you know, he had a passion. Plus, the guy trained too, you know, and then he had people get his stuff, horses ready. And I mean, he had a lot on his plate, you know, and it just, you know, I haven't seen him the last couple of years. Or I think last year he might have came here. And, you know, I mentioned him in, you know, he's out in the community here, out on track, you know, when we see him, you know, tell him hi, you know, but he's made a lot of friends here over the years and just a great guy. I mean,
what I like about the community that's been established here is yesterday my mom and dad and I had 2 horses in back-to-back, first race and second race, which is hard to do.
Yeah.
So the first race, you know, my mom's struggling because I was paddocking and she's like, I got to find somebody. So Chet Delorme was right there. She's like, Chet, do you have anybody that could come and walk this horse back? Because we got one in the second. Yeah, no problem. Yeah. That doesn't happen everywhere.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen everywhere, man. Like if somebody, no problem. Didn't ask for any money. Didn't ask for anything. Just, I'll walk him back. That's no big deal. Like that's what it's all about, dude.
Yes. Yeah. It's all about the connection and the unity of you supporting one another, you know, making sure that, you know, everybody's got each other's back, you know, and that's key here, you know, like, yes, there's competition, it's competitive, but at the same time, when you really truly have a passion for it, all of that stuff's out the window. You will help the other person. You will, because it's something, you know, that's in your heart to do, you know. And my nephew, he grew up around it. He's watched me do it. You know, he stays a quarter mile from me, so he picked it up. You know, it got into his blood. You know, he started galloping for Pete Davis also. Actually, Pete's kind of the one that got us.
Pete gets everybody.
Yeah, Shout out to Pete. Pete Davis. Yeah, he gets everybody into the game. Even if you don't know how to ride, he's gonna be like, "Well, you could ride. So even if you get bucked off,
get up there,
and then like, get back on." You know, I'm like, but I mean, you know, he you know, he was a basketball coach for years too. You know, so I mean, he knows how to connect. You know, he knows how to connect with the horse and riders, and very competitive. And I seen him out here yesterday, and he was betting, and you know, he's just a great guy. You know, and it's good to have them old guys around, you know, because, you know, they know the game, you know, they've been around. And I mean, I've seen a lot of them go here the last 10 years, you know, that were really icons of the sport, you know, and we do have some memorials coming up. You know, we had one yesterday for Jiggers, LaFramboise, and then we'll have one for
April LaFont.
Yeah, April LaFountain. Yep. That'd be that 550. There's usually a 550 race for her.
That was a lady, dude. She was phenomenal, but she was a wild one. I always liked when she came around.
April was awesome. I'll tell you what, like, there was only one April Kaplan.
Exactly.
April LaFountain. April LaFountain was very, very, very very, very, very connected to a horse. Like she was good at what she did. She that was her passion. I remember her when we had rodeos up, because there was a rodeo ground up here, and I remember her, coming up when she was 12 years old. She always had a horse, and I think she's the one that got her dad into it. And her dad, Fred LaFountain, he had this horse called La Jolla. So in fact, I know she got her dad into it because she was the only one that was really into the horse racing game, and from the family. And most of the brothers and stuff, they were into sculpturing. They left out of town, and her other family member Sheila, she owns La Dots.
Oh wow!
Her and Kenny, and and they're very supportive. We got a lot of good sponsors too.
La Dots all time.
Yeah,
I always go get a pizza from La Dots.
Yeah, they always have something. They got the beer garden. They always have something. To donate or sponsor. Very, very, very good people. And Kenny and Sheila watched Fred with La Jolla, so they developed a passion for it. Because I remember them out in Pheasanton, the Pheasanton days.
Oh yeah. My dad and mom were always there. Yeah.
Yeah. So it just it's like I said, it's been just really exceptional. Support from our sponsors and just our community. And like last week it was rainy. People still came out, it just like, but that's this place here. You never know what you're going to get though. North Dakota.
Yeah.
I call it the bipolar state because you could be 90 above one day and then next day you'll be wearing a Parker, I mean, it's just, but like I said, it's, people that are involved, doesn't matter, rain, snow, whatever, they're going to hold it. Like they were the other day, they were like, on Sunday, they're like, "Well, are you going to shut it?" I said, "I ain't going to shut this down. It's going to, they'll race, it'll be pouring rain. They're going to go."
Yep.
I said, "They know how to control them horses. They'll work that track. They're going to make sure everything, because people are invested, too. There's monies you have to pay to vet, for that's LASIK, you know what I mean? There's time, half-lives for different medicines and things like that too, so that, how do you recoup that? If you cancel the race, you know what I mean? Because, sometimes we have in the past, but that's like a last resort. I mean, and we kind of correlate with the riders too, and the riders,
they'll let you know.
Well, the good thing about having a lot of riders too, like in competitive riders, they've been all over. They've been in, the bush tracks too, where, it's kind of like they know how to adjust, whether it's rainy, whether it's, doesn't matter, because a lot of them come from Nebraska too, and they don't get the best weather there, and they start early. That season starts early.
Snowing sometimes at those races.
Yeah.
Connor.
Yeah.
Well, I before we run out of time here, because I know you got to call a race card here in an hour, but tell me about, because you were telling, when I asked you to do this, you told me a great story about the Indian relay races, which you announced as well, about that kid that jumped so far to get on the horse, and tell us, because that story was great, man. You gotta tell us that story.
Well, the Indian relay, I started like 3 years ago now. I've been doing them out at MHA and here, and it's really grown. It's gotten big. A lot of money. This last year alone, there was 4 events. There was probably over $170,000, $180,000 in prize money. So these guys are getting it down too now. The riders, they're taking a lot of the horses off the track, the trainers, the muggers, what they're doing is they got to work as a team also, so the exchange, is crucial. That's where you see, and that's probably where the most exciting part of it is, with them, is because the fastest horse is not going to win. It's whoever does everything right. So there's so many factors to exchange, and, making sure that they don't get penalized, making sure that they come into the box, they don't hit somebody else. I mean, there's a lot of things that weigh in when it comes down to that final lap, because there's 3 horses. They'll exchange a horse. They'll start from the finish line with usually a horn or a whistle, and they'll go around and make that exchange, first exchange, second exchange, and that third horse. That's where it's at right there too, because you gotta make sure your end horse got some speed and could hold up, and they do a lot of practice. And there was actually a couple documentaries that I watched, that some of the teams were here, and we get.
Well, it was on 60 Minutes a while ago.
Yeah. I actually Me and that guy, they did the interview. We announced together.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because I do Calcutta, and then he would announce it. Sometimes we dually announce even. And he's part of an organization. He's actually from Crow Agency, and he from Montana, and he does that region up there, And he came over, and we worked together. But he really does a really good job, and he laid it out for 60 minutes pretty good, And he said, anything can happen, and sometimes
anything does.
Sometimes it does happen where people, the mugger might get run over, get hurt, whatever. The horse might, just don't know, And that's the exciting part of it, because it just, we're, as much as we want to admit it, people do like excitement. It's in our DNA, to have that adrenaline, and so watching them, you're on your feet, and they, like I said, the relay. I got into that, and I'm enjoying it. And if I could pick up more events, that would be great. And it's similar to calling a race, but it's similar, but it's different. You know what I mean? It's kind of like you got to have a color system. Some of these riders are contracted too. Because you might have a team, he might ride 2-3 different teams, depending what heats are line up and how they. So you got to really watch your color system, because, out there, if the horse is not marked, because they got the Bergalia on, and the Indian Bergalia, so they get the colors. So somebody's riding might jump, you just rode this way. So you can't base it just on that neither. You gotta really pay attention to color detail, and it's a little tougher to call an Indian relay race. I think. I'm
sure it is. Yeah. There's a lot going on.
There is a lot of excitement. And,
but that kid you saw.
Oh, that kid! We just was in MHA, and I hadn't seen the team before, and they came in. I think it was something with medicine, and it was a medicine horse or something, medicine something. But anyway, this guy, it really enlightened me to how professional this is becoming. It kind of like the UFC thing, like when we first started back in '96, you had Tank Abbott, Frank Frelzo, the tough guy. Well, now they got this down to a science. You got to have to know some wrestling, some boxing. You know what
Jiu-jitsu,
I mean? Yeah, it's just unreal. You got to be almost superhuman, and this Indian relay stuff is taken off also to the point where, they have it down, the steps even, like the long jump back in the day, you're just athletic, okay, he could, Jesse Owens, he just jump everybody. Yeah. So here, now, they know when they're coming off that horse. And I actually seen this kid where I swear, he literally, the horse was coming in, he lets the horse go, and he's running right alongside of that horse. Wow. But he's using that horse for his bouncing system. He's right here, he's got his arm right here, and he's bouncing with this horse. And I swear he took 3 jumps. Boom. I swear he flew probably at least 25 feet in the air and right on that other horse and gone. I was like, oh my goodness. And that's not luck, that's work. They're putting
athletic
a lot of
ability.
Yeah, athletic and just a lot of practice too, And it's been exciting. I've really enjoyed being a part of that. And like I said, that's kind of where I'm kind of looking at now too, try to pick up more events like that, and being that they're taking off, and there's
they got an event at the State Fair now too, which is exciting.
Yeah. That one, that's the only one I didn't do, and I haven't done. That's in North Dakota.
We got to get you in there.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be great. Yes, Dallas, that would be great. But I think what got me in MHA and Twin Buttes was the fact that I'm an auctioneer too.
Right, and you can do it all.
We do Calcuttas, to the audience. People want to bid on the teams, and then they pay out to them, but the State Fair is sanctioned through the state, right. So they consider that gaming. But that's one of the things. But as far as calling the race, that would be that would be nice, you know, to eventually get in there and be a part of that, you know. And I knew, and I do know a lot of the guys that are a part of that because they run that through tourism. But I've never lobbied for it or tried to ask for it. I figured, you know what? I'll just wait my turn. You know what I mean?
Well, if you're listening, get him in there.
Yeah.
Get him in there. Well,
that would be great. Yeah.
We're running a little short, my brother. So swim lessons, question I ask everybody, podcast about overcoming tough times. Leave us with something you might say to yourself in those tough times that maybe somebody could make to their life.
Well, I think it's my saying is kind of like you resilience, you know, is you know, how you handle it. Fear, how do you embrace it? Tough times, how you embrace. Because we're like, I'm a believer in, you know, Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior.
Yeah.
I'm not perfect. Yes, we're all sinners. I try to become a better person every day. But I think the biggest things is if you're challenged and you want to be an overcomer, because Philippians 4:13, we could do all things through Christ who strengthens us. So if you have challenges coming up your way, whatever happens to be, if it's to persevere in your business, your job, whatever happens to be, just always believe, because your attitude determines success. Your attitude has a big impact because your mind is a powerful thing. So what you put in there is gonna, you know, it's gonna come out. You got to stay positive, stay focused. And that's all you can do, because you're going to have changes around you. You got to be able to adjust. You got to be flexible in life. You got to be able to maneuver, and you know, can't get stuck in, you know, despair or despite. You know, you got to look at the things you could do rather than you can't do. So
I love it. Beautiful. You're the man, dude.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate the time. Good luck I'll be listening. Okay. Everybody, make sure you check out Chippewa Downs on Facebook, YouTube. And then Doug Delorme on Facebook too. He's you're well on your way, man. Thank you for all the opportunities you've given me.
Okay, thank you, Dallas.
Okay.
I greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Goodbye, everybody.